This is a review of the Chapter 4 practice exercise. In the book, they very briefly cover sort and filter, and these are all the things you need to know about sort and filter. So this is called a list or a data list. And what a list is consecutive information. It has to have consecutive columns and consecutive rows. The data has to be consistent. So graduated is either Y or N. Highest education is either AA or AS or BA or BS or HS. You can't have other information in here because it doesn't work when you do filter, and we'll talk about that later. Department has to be accounting spelled like this or business spelled like this. In the list you can have blank cells, but you can't have blank columns or blank rows, because if that happens then it ends up separating it into separate lists. In older versions of Excel, the heading row, which is usually your first row, had to be formatted differently. I'm not sure whether that's still the case or not. I formatted this as rep text just to make sure, and also I needed it to be narrower because the headings were too long. In a data list, each column is a field. It means each column has one particular piece of information. This has only last name. This column has only employee number. This column has only department. Each row is called a record. So this is the record with all the fields filled in for this person. This is the record for all the fields filled in for this person. So a record is all the fields filled in for a particular person or item. It might be all the information for you as a student or all the information for your stereo. This is the Chapter 4 practice file, and I'm going to walk through this whole exercise on this. This will probably be a long video because it covers a lot of information. So on page 2 of the directions, I'm going to go through the first several steps, turning on print grid lines. One thing that's new in Chapter 4 is print titles. And what print titles does is when you have too much information on one page, what happens when you're viewing it is the headings scroll off the page. And that's actually freeze panes. We'll talk about that in Chapter 5. And print titles, which means your headings scroll off the page when you print it. So if I go to File Print, I can see my headings on page 1. But if I go to page 2, I have data, but I don't have any headings. So what print titles does is it will print your headings on each page. Print titles only affects printing. This is under page layout, print titles, and it puts you on the sheet tab. So what you want to do is, what row do you want to repeat at the top of every page? I want to repeat row 1 at the top of every page. So I click in the rows to repeat box, click anywhere in row 1, it automatically makes it absolute, so it's $1 through $1. If I wanted to print columns A and B on the left side of every page, I'm going to do that just now so you can see. Is I click in columns to repeat it left and select column A and column B. If the first row is merge and center, it's going to automatically go from column A to column L. In this case, you would have to manually fix that. This does not look any different on the screen, but if I go back to File Print, I can see the headings on page 1, and now I can see the headings on page 2. And if I were to make my font larger, this is just to show you, I'm going to resize to fit, and now my font is much larger. Now if I go to File Print, I see my headings on page 1. Now I have 6 pages. I see my headings on page 2. I also have the names on the left side because I selected A and B to print at the left side of every page. Headings on the top, name is on the left. Headings on the top, name is on the left. Headings on the top and name is on the left. So whatever you want to print at the top of every page, that's your row to print. Whatever you want to print on the left side of every page, those are the columns you select. And on very large worksheets, this is absolutely essential. It's not specifically a data list feature, it's just a feature for large worksheets. I'm going to change my font size. This is how you can change your font size to be a larger or smaller font size. This is a test question. Select all, resize to fit again, and I'm going to insert a standard footer. Name on the left, sheet name in the center, file name on the right. Go into normal view, click any place in the worksheet, Click on normal, control home, brings me back to the top. Rename sheet 1 to be sort A, just double click on the sheet name, sort A. If I go back to print preview, just so you can see, there's my grid lines, there's my name, my sheet name, my file name. This one now says I have 4 pages. Page 2, page 3, and there's page 4. If yours isn't 4 pages, don't worry about it. I manually resize this. I want you to add a new record to the bottom of the list, so you just control end, the word end, not the letter N. Hit home and go down a cell. And after you type in your information, it should show up here. So after you fill in your data, it should look like this. Make sure you follow the instructions in the handout, because that's how you're graded. Control home takes you back to the top of the document. Fill out weekly wages. So what would the formula be to calculate hourly wage times hours worked? So at the end of the first sort instructions on page 2, your worksheet should look like this. Here's your header row. Your weekly wages in column L. You have your name with the information per the instructions at the bottom of the data list. And you have weekly wages filled out for every person. Now we're going to start doing sort. So this is in no particular order. Actually, it's in order by department. So some of these things are covered in the book, but very, very quickly. So I just want to go over everything to make sure it's all covered. If I want to sort by last name, I click anywhere in the last name column. I do not have to select the heading. Excel knows this is a heading. All of your sort and filter options are on the data tab. I just click on the data tab. In the sort and filter group, A to Z is ascending. That's Adams to Ziemba, 1 through 99. Z to A is descending. That's Ziemba to Adams, and 99 to 1. Sort button is where you do multi-level sorts, and the filter button is where you pull records. So for chapter 4, we're just going to use these buttons here. There's also other options which we'll talk about later in the book. So if I want to sort by last name, I click anywhere in the last name column. And since I just want to do a single sort, I can just click on A to Z, and it automatically sorts everybody by last name. So I have Abel, I'm here because I'm Anderson, Castle, Devonshire, Elliott. It does not include the header row because it knows this is a header row. You scroll down to the bottom, it goes down to the last person, which is Ziemba. Your record should begin here alphabetically. Now, because I want to see all the sorts separately, what you're going to need to do is copy each sheet. So at the end, you're going to have several sheets. So to copy a sheet, click on the Sheet tab, right-click, choose Move or Copy. Click on Create a Copy first, that way you don't forget it, and then click on Move to End. When you have several sheets, you're going to have to scroll down to see Move to End. And this is basically saying, where do you want to put this sheet? Hit OK. It calls it the same sheet name, parentheses 2, so to change the name of this sheet, just double-click on it, and call this one Sort B. And that's how you're going to copy sheets for this entire exercise. Now for Sort B, I want to sort by department ascending. Here's my department column. I click anywhere in the department column, click on A to Z, and I have all the accountings together, all the business, all the IT. Copy this sheet over to make it Sort C. On the Sort C sheet, I want to sort by employee number ascending, then descending, just so you can see what it does. So I click anywhere in the employee number column, click on A to Z, sorts from 1001 down to 1234. If I click on Z to A, it sorts at 1234 down to 1001. So A to Z is usually used alphabetically. So I want from Adams to Ziemba. Z to A is usually done numerically because I want to know who had the most weekly wages, who had the most hours worked, who had the highest hourly wage. Doesn't have to be, but that's typically what happens. So for this exercise, I want it sorted descending by employee number. So I'm anywhere in the employee number column. You should be at the top because your employee number is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then at the bottom of the list should be the 1001. Copy this sheet to a new sheet. New sheet is called Sort D as in dog. Sort by hire date ascending, then descending. Hire date looks a little different because if you click on last name, A to Z says sort A to Z, lowest to highest. If you click on employee number, which is a numeric field, A to Z says sort smallest to largest, so it actually changes what it calls itself. If I click in the date field, A to Z says sort oldest to newest. So A to Z is ascending, and I'll call it ascending, but Excel calls it oldest to newest. And Z to A is newest to oldest. So if I want to sort higher date ascending, I click anywhere in the higher date column, click on A to Z, which is called oldest to newest, and it puts the oldest, people hired longest ago, at the top, and the newest people, which would be you, at the bottom. If I'm still in the higher date column, anywhere in the higher date column, and click on Z to A, it puts the newest people, which would be you, at the top, and the people who've been there the longest at the bottom. Save this periodically. Control S is save. Copy this to a new sheet. Rename the new sheet Sort E. Sort E, you're going to sort by weekly wages descending. Make sure you don't just click on any value column. This is hourly wage, this is hours worked, and this is weekly wages. Each of your heading columns has to have a unique name. So this is the weekly wages column. I click anywhere in the weekly wages column. I want to sort it descending, so I click on Z to A. Puts the person with highest weekly wages at the top, and the lowest weekly wages at the bottom, lowest being 0 because this value is 0. Okay, next thing we're going to do is a multiple level sort. So far all we did was sort on one column. We sorted by last name, or we sorted by employee number, or we sorted by weekly wages. I can also say I want to sort by department, then last name within department, then first name within last name within department. This is similar to a telephone book, so if you were to look at the Greeley phone book, all of Eaton would be together, then all the A's within Eaton would be together, and then after all the Eatons, you'd have all the Evans people, alphabetically by last name, then alphabetically by first name within last name. So this is a multi-level sort where you want to sort by, in this case, department, then last name within department, then first name within last name within department. Just think of how it looks in the phone book. So make a new sheet, call it Sort F. So on Sort F, I'm going to show you multi-level sort. So if I click in the last name column, and I do A to Z, I get Able, Castle, Devonshire. And then if I clicked on first name, click anywhere in the first name column and click A to Z. Now it's sorted by first name, Adelaide, Ann, Bruce, but now the last name is out of order. If you want to sort on more than one field, you have to use the sort button. So if I want to sort last name and first name, it doesn't matter where I am in the worksheet. Click on the sort button, and it gives you this dialog box. And you can move it out of the way just so you can see what's going on in the worksheet. Just click anywhere in the title bar and move it. So it wants to sort by whatever I had selected. I want to sort by last name. Make sure my data has headers is turned on, because if it does, then what it does is it lists all your headings from row 1. If my data has headers is turned off, then this just becomes column ABC, and what it'll do is it'll sort last between KL and M. So my data has headers is almost always turned on. So I want to sort by last name first. Sort on values, just leave that one alone. And then order is A to Z, like this, or Z to A. I want this to be A to Z. And then I want to add a level, click on the Add Level button. And then I want to sort by first name, also A to Z. And hit OK. And now I have Able, Ann, then Able, Zora. Castle, Bruce, then Castle, Deb. Ivanson, Ivan, then Ivanson, Leslie. So it sorts last name first, then first name within last name. Copy the sheet to a new sheet, and that's a typical multi-level sort. Copy the sheet to a new sheet, rename it Sort G. On Sort G, I want to do a little more involved multi-level sort. This time I'm going to sort by department ascending, and then graduated descending, so I'm going to have yes, then no. Alphabetically, that's descending. Then hourly wage, which is this column, and that one's also going to be descending, so it's going to be highest to lowest. So to do this, I click on the sort button. My data has headers is turned on. I'm going to sort by department, and that's going to be A to Z. I want to add another level, so I click on Add Level, and then I want to sort by graduated. And this one I want to be Z to A, so I want all the yeses at the top and then the no's underneath there. And then I'm going to add a level again, and I'm going to sort by hourly wage. Again, pick the right one. And I'm going to say largest to smallest. So Excel actually differentiates between values and text. So department A to Z, ascending, graduated, Z to A, descending, hourly wage, largest to smallest, descending. Hit OK. And I have all the departments together. Here's all the accounting, then all the business, then all the IT, and we'll just pick business. Within business, I have all the yeses, and then all the nos, because that's descending. Within the yeses, for business, I have hourly wage highest, $21.85 to lowest, $7.20. And then within the nos, for business, I have $14.90 down to $7. So this is a very typical multi-level sort. If you're using an older version of Excel, make sure you don't select a column, because if you select a column in an older version of Excel, what it will do is sort that column but not sort the entire record, because what you want to do is sort the record so the record goes up or down depending on the sort. If you select this column, that will sort this column, and this column information will not be connected to this person anymore. So right now 3429 is connected to Elliot, but if you sort the column, then 3429 will be just arbitrary. In Office 2013 and 2016, it would not let you select a column and do a sort. If I click on sort, it gives me this error message. But if you have an older version of Excel, 2010 or earlier, it will let you sort that. So don't do that. Next exercise. Sorting just moves records up and down. So it takes all the information you have and moves your record up and down in the list. It doesn't pull any information. What filtering does is it pulls information. I can say I only want to see business, or I only want to see people who have graduated, or I only want to see people who've worked 0 hours. That's filtering. Also on the data tab in the sort filter group. So copy sort G to a new sheet, and that will be your first filter exercise. Okay. One thing you need to know about filter is filter does not sort. So your filter will just pull records. It will not put them in sorted order. You would still need to sort them after you filter them. So to turn on filter, just click on the filter button. And what it does is it puts these little triangles next to each column heading, and that's where you can do your filtering. So if I click on the down arrow next to department, what it does is it gives me the unique names of all the departments. This is where your data entry has to be consistent. If I had accounting spelled out and then ACCTG and then ACCTG period, those would be 3 entirely different things to Excel. So if I only wanted to see people in the business department, what I would do is click on the down arrow next to department, turn off select all, and then turn on business. Hit OK, and then all I get is business records. And a few things that are different when you're filtered is your down arrow changes to a funnel, and that means this field is filtered. Your row numbers turn blue. What that means is the other rows are hidden, and it also means that you've filtered records. And then down on the status bar, it tells you how many records are found. So in this case, I have 10 out of the 35 original records. I'm only displaying 10 of them. And copy this sheet to a new sheet. So now I'm on the filter B sheet, and I still have only business selected. So to clear a filter, there's 2 ways to do it. I can either click on the down arrow or the funnel button and then choose clear filter. What that'll do is it will clear that filter, and now I get all the records back. Or I could also click on the clear button up here. So I'll do that again. If I had business and I clicked on the clear button, it would also clear the filter. Clear does not take you out of filter mode. You're still in filter mode. Filter is still turned on, and you still have the down arrows. So on the filter B sheet, if I want to filter by accounting or purchasing, what I would do is I click anywhere. What I would do is click on the down arrow next to department, turn off select all, turn on accounting, and turn on purchasing. So even though I'm turning on 2 things, what I'm doing is an or filter, which means I want everybody who's in accounting or in purchasing. So if I select more than one item in this list, that's an or feature. So I get all the accounting people and all the purchasing people, but basically what I'm really getting is everybody who's either in accounting or in purchasing. In this case, nobody can be both accounting and purchasing. And copy that sheet to new sheet. I'm in filter C, accounting and purchasing are turned on. I'm going to clear this filter because I'm going to do something different in filter C. So filter A should have Department of Business, filter B should have accounting or purchasing, and filter C, clear filter first. For filter C, I want office number of blanks. This is really useful when you want to see things that haven't been started. Employees that don't have a parking space yet, or jobs that haven't been started yet, or products that haven't been sold yet. So basically you're looking for something that perhaps hasn't been started yet, so if it's blank, that might be a good thing to be looking for. So under the office number, click on the office number filter button, turn off select all, go all the way down to the bottom, and the very last option is always blank. So if there are any blanks in this column, it will say blanks. Hit OK. What it displays is only the people that do not have office numbers assigned to them yet. So this is actually a very useful feature. Copy this to new sheet. In filter D, I'm going to clear my filter. So again, I can either click clear here or click clear here. I'm going to click here. Gets all my records back. In this one, I want to do an AND filter, which means I want everyone who is in IT and has an AS. So I would choose department, turn off select all, turn on IT. Gives me everyone who's in IT, and highest education is AS, so click on the down arrow for highest education, turn off select all, turn on AS. So an AND feature is going to give you much fewer records. So this is everybody who's in IT and has an AS. So basically, if I'm choosing an entry from 2 or more different fields, that's an AND condition. If I'm choosing an entry from the same field, that's an OR condition. So there's only one person who is in IT and has an AS. Make a new worksheet. Then the filter E worksheet, I still have IT and AS, and in order to clear a filter, if I click on the filter button for highest education, I can clear this filter, but it only clears that one filter. If you have more than one filter in a worksheet, the fastest thing to do is click on the clear button up here, because this clears all of your filters. Otherwise, you'd have to clear each individual filter. I'm now on to filter E sheet. So if I want a Department of IT and Education of HS, I choose Department of IT. Get all the IT people. Education, there is no Education of HS. Again, if your Excel is earlier than 2013, if it's 2010 or earlier, it would have HS, but it would have no entries on it. It would actually give you no records. It would give you 0 records. In 2013 or 2016, it just doesn't list it because there is no record in this list that has a Department of IT and the highest education of HS. So we'll leave that one alone and make a new sheet. Okay, in filter F sheet, these next few things are not covered in the book at all, and they're very useful, so I'm covering them here. Text filter, number filter, and date filter. This is on page 14 of the handout. I want to choose all records where the first name begins with an M. M as in Mary. So first thing, I'm on filter F sheet. I'm going to clear the filter. In my first name field, click on the down arrow, and you have an option called text filter. I do not want you to go through and click on everybody whose name starts with M. That takes too long, it's inefficient, and it really doesn't work for what we want to do. So if I want to do a text filter is on any field that is alphanumeric. I say text filter, and then I get equals, does not equal, begins with, ends with, contains, does not contain, or custom filter. So if I want every name that starts with an M, I would choose begins with, and then it comes up with this dialog box, begins with M. This is not case sensitive, you don't have to type in uppercase, hit OK. And then I get all the M people. These are not in alphabetical order. Remember, filter does not sort. If you need to sort, you'd still need to sort after you do the filter. Copy this sheet to a new sheet. On the filter G sheet, I'm going to clear my filters. Make sure you clear your filter after you have this, because when I'm looking at this, filter A, I want to see Department of Business. Filter B, I want to see Department Accounting and Purchasing. Filter C, I want to see office number blank. So don't clear the filter and then go to the next sheet, because then I don't see that you've done anything. Filter G sheet, we're going to use number filter. So text filter is anything alphanumeric. a number filter would be on any field that is numeric. And I want to do a filter on the hours worked column. I want hours worked at least 36, so I click on the down arrow next to hours worked. Now it says number filter because this is a numeric column. Number filter equals, does not equal, greater than, if I say it's greater than 10, then it's 11 and up. If I say it's greater than or equal to 10, then it's 10 and up. So if I say you're greater than or equal to 21, your age is 21 to 999. Less than is below. Less than or equal to is basically up to and including. So if I say it's less than or equal to 20%, it's 0 to 20%. Between is, if I say it's between 10 and 20, it's between begins with 10 and ends with 20. And then you have some other options here. So I want at least 36. You choose greater than or equal to, and then type in 36, and then hit OK. And what I get is all the hours worked. They're at least 36. Again, do not click on numbers down here, because if you do that, and then one of my values changes from 38 to 18, then the answer will still be displayed because you specifically selected it, but it'll be wrong. So I actually want you to choose number filter greater than or equal to. And this is what I'll look for when I grade it. The number filter is turned on, greater than or equal to is turned on, and then this is turned on. That's actually what I'm looking for when I'm grading. So then I get 36, 38, 36, and 40. So these are all at least 36. Again, they're not sorted. You'll need to sort it yourself in the homework. So copy this sheet to a new page, and now in the filter H sheet, click clear for clear filter. And last but not least is date filter. So quick review, anything that's alphanumeric is going to be text filter. Anything that's a numeric is going to be a number filter. And anything that's a date is going to be a date filter. So for filter H sheet, I want to pick everybody who had a hired date between January 1 of 2006 and June 30 of 2006. In the directions it will say the first half of 2006 or the second half of 2006, something like that. So click on the down arrow for hire date, choose date. Again, do not click on this. Choose date filter. And what I want is not in this list. I don't want this week or next month or next quarter. So if I want a specific thing, choose custom. Custom filter. And I want this to be is after or equal to 1/1/06. You do not have to type in 2006. It'll automatically assume that. And let's see, I want the first half of 2006 before or equal to 6/30/06. If I say it's after 1/1/06, it will be 1/2/06, January 2nd. If I say it's before June 30, it'll only go up to June 29th. So I either have to say is after or equal to January 1st and before or equal to June 30th. Make sure it includes, after or equal to includes this date, before or equal to includes this date. And meaning it's after January 1st and before or equal to June 30th. It'll pick up everything between January 1, 2006 and June 30, 2006. And hit OK. And it gives me all the records from the first half of 2006, which is February, April, February. Again, it's not automatically sorted. Again, save periodically. Now, at the end, you should have several sheets. And if you probably can't see them all, if you point to the arrow way over on the left, you can scroll to the beginning. If any of these are out of order, I'm just going to move this around. What you do is click on the sheet that's out of order until it's selected, because sometimes you have to click on it twice until it's selected. Hold the mouse down, and then your mouse becomes a piece of paper, and you have this little triangle. And then move it until the triangle is where it's supposed to be. So that I have sort A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then I have filter A, B, C, D, E. Again, use your arrow. F, G, H. You can have hundreds of different worksheets in a workbook. This is still this workbook, but for sort and filter, it's easier to have a separate sheet for each exercise than it is to have separate workbooks, and it's easier to see them all in one place. So you're going to save this and upload this to the Chapter 4 practice exercise. And this should help you get through the assignment, and this will also be on the first half. Thanks.